came first as a man, and he's incarnate as a man, but when he comes again, it is said that he comes as the conquering lion of Judah. And you'll notice here's the eagle up here on the top. It's interesting because we're not only talking about a messianic sort of type, we're talking about timing, we're talking about a place. And you go on, you can look at Cydonia and learn quite a few things about what's going on here on Earth. Here we have the same geometric figure. It's not a perfect pentagon, but as we were looking at earlier, it's a geometric figure that points out precession, and it's extremely ancient. We have the analogs on Earth. We also have a connection between it and Mars, the greatest war-making power probably ever, who has the power of the atom, has decided to put all their forces in this one pentagonal building. And the greatest structures we ever have discovered in the world, in our solar system, just happens to be on Mars, the war god. It goes back even farther than this idea of before the flood. It goes all the way back to the very first interaction between a human being on this planet and something other than human. This is a piece of fruit that's been cut along the equator, and you, of course, notice the nice pentagram inside of it. Here's another picture of the fruit that was a close-up of. It's a golden apple. And in ancient times, there was no such thing as yellow apples. The only thing that they would actually consider would be the golden fruit, the golden apple. In fact, the fruit that was in the Garden of Eden, as being the golden apple, has a scientific name, Pyrus Cydonia, believe it or not. And here you have the serpent, and he's already handed off this fruit of knowledge, and they're going to eat it, of course. But it's interesting because this is supposed to be an angel in the guise of a serpent, so he doesn't, his original place isn't on the planet Earth. Now, if you look at the ancient symbol here that you find in magic and illuminated books of all kinds, it makes a little bit more sense because you have this symbol here. It connects to heaven. It connects to the first transfer of knowledge to men. You have the serpent. It connects to that symbol in the garden. It also connects to how the whole system works in time in the heavens. There's also more connections to the name Cydonia. It's interesting if you actually look at the interchange here between this serpent and the woman. He said, "You surely will not die if you eat of this fruit, because God knows the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God." Interesting. If you look at the words for open eyes in Greek, it's Europa, Europe. And you'll find these feminine deities often with these big open eyes, just to convey the idea that they can really see a lot and understand things because they're illuminated. It's Europa. It's Eve. It's a play on this idea that's continued into one culture to the next culture, from one civilization to the next civilization, until you have the language kind of obscure it, but it's always the same idea. Here's the knowledge-bearing woman, Europa. It's just Eve. She was the first one to connect to some being in heaven. And interestingly enough, in Greek myth, Europa was the daughter of a king of Sidon, which is on the Mediterranean coast where Lebanon is now. And she founded Cydonia on Crete, where gnosis is, where we get the word for knowledge, gnosis. And here's from Crete itself. You'll see the serpent. You'll see the big bug eyes. She's very matronly, as you can tell, and she has an owl on her head, which symbolizes being able to see where others can't. And she's got all the hallmarks of being someone like Eve, having connected with the serpent. You also see more Martian motifs, too. This is Sidon. This is supposedly a guy who was born on Crete. He's being suckled from a canine. And Cydonia is also known as Cana, because it was Canaan, who was Ham's son, who actually was the father of Sidon. Then you go to Mars. You go to Rome, who actually, the Romans, according to the historian Livy, said they really did consider themselves sons of Mars, and they're also being suckled by a wolf or a canine. And notice this shepherd here, who's kind of helping things along with his pointy hat, magician hat. He knows what's going on. It says Rome here. It says Cydonia here. It's just a variation on the word Sidon. They're Canaanites or Sidonians. And the reason that Cana is an important place is because that's the location where the Watchers came down. The sons of Mars, being suckled on the milk of knowledge. Richard Hoagland has talked extensively about tetrahedral geometry and the Cydonia monuments. And he talks about it existing as that hallmark, that stamp that says there's intelligent design to it because it incorporates dimensionless constants in mathematics, things that don't depend on a numerical system. They just exist with any numerical system. And that's this tetrahedral signature here. It's just angles. So if you measure your circles in 33 or 55 or 360, you're still going to have this signature proportionally. And also pi is one of those great symbols too for actually ascertaining whether there's intelligence on a planet other than ours or some signal that's coming from outer space like SETI does. They both pay attention to these 2 points. And pi is that one number that we know of that really does symbolize a circle. It's almost magical. But these 2 things are incorporated interchangeably and together on Cydonia. It connects Mars to the Earth because there are many similarities when you go back to the ancient knowledge and how it's purveyed. Pi is everything when it comes to the compass that measures circles. If you know pi, then you know how to make circles and understand circles. So what if you were going to take the 33 points on the compass rose and actually be really literal about placing a line on the Earth where it would actually exist? Here's latitude, 33.3 degrees from 0. 2,012 nautical miles. Now take that 33 1/3 times pi. You'll come up with this. Well, it really seems like maybe this is latitude. This is latitude. Maybe this is longitude. So now you got the 2 points that you need to figure out where you are in space on the Earth. Guess where it is. I really think that this has something to do with why what happened in 1947 happened here. Because if you're working with SETI and you actually saw an equation that pointed this out and then something happened here, you would have your smoking gun for the proof that something from outer space had been communicating with you that was